Hi everyone, it's Liz here. I've come out for a walk up our road. We're fortunate to live in the peaceful countryside, albeit it hasn't been overly peaceful for some of our neighbours recently because of the noise from our kids, as you can see in the background. They've been outside a lot, enjoying the fresh air and the sunshine, which we've been very grateful for. I was reading them a bedtime story last week about Noah, and it reminded us of some of the similarities in our situations. Us being in quarantine and Noah when he was stuck in an ark with his family and all the animals, and he'd no idea of when he was going to get off it. At least we're a bit more fortunate in that we're guessing that we have some sort of inkling as to when some of the restrictions are going to be lifted, and with something hopefully to look forward to sooner rather than later. It has taught me the real meaning of patience. My favourite part of the day is when homeschooling is over, and even more so probably when they're all tucked up in bed and sleeping at night. But it says in the Bible, in Romans chapter 12 verse 12, rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, and be constant in prayer. And I think that's what we have to do. We have to pray to our sovereign God, who is in control and is the only one who knows the future. And it is a great hope to have.
Hi ladies, I'm just out a short walk this morning around my own house and heading down the pathway. It's quite cold this morning. Last Saturday, I just thought I'd let you know what we've been doing. Last Saturday we got some vegetable plants, which we haven't grown here before since we moved here, and we decided we would put them all in. The weather was lovely, it was a great day, and we spent all day planting and had a great time. It was very warm, and we enjoyed the heat and the sun. However, come Thursday night, I think it was, the weather very much changed, and we ended up with frost, which it dropped to -4. And we had to rush out and cover up all the plants, or we would have lost them. In fact, some of them we did lose. We had a few dahlia plants which are sitting now like dulse, and this was very disappointing, but thankfully we saved all the vegetable plants and they're okay. You know, we just seem to go from one day to the next at the minute, and we just wait to see what's happening next. Are we going to be allowed out? Are we going to visit family? Are we going to be allowed to go and give our grandchildren a hug, which we have missed so much? We just don't know what the government is going to allow us to do next. And we can get despaired and down, and a bit like the plants, we can flop at times. But you know, God has promised us in His word that He will be near us, and He will never leave us. I will never leave you nor forsake you, He tells us. He also tells us in Proverbs, in all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy paths. Now, it's not always easy knowing the path that we have been given to take. We don't always understand it. But you know, we have been told by God that He won't leave us on that path on our own. It's not always going to be a bed of roses. It's not always going to be an easy path. But if we have God with us on that path and alongside us, we can face whatever lies ahead. On a personal note, which is for another day, after we were married, our first child was born, severely disabled. Now, this was a difficult path for us, but you know, the blessing that we got out of this and the blessing the Lord gave us, well, that's another story. We learned that everything's for a purpose. It's not always easy to accept these things, but we can truthfully sing, with Christ in the vessel we can smile at the storm as we go facing on. I hope tonight, as you think of this hymn, that perhaps if you're down, if you're fed up with all this lockdown and not seeing your friends and family and maybe living on your own and lonely, just remember, you're not on your own. God is with you. He has promised us in His word that He has said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Fear not, I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. Thank you, ladies, and I hope you're all keeping safe and well and all social distancing apart. See you soon. Bye.
So we're just sharing some of the places we walk. This is one of my wee walks. This is River Main in Randallstown, Hub of the North. We love it. But anyway, and this is my dog Henry. I know a lot of people know him from Facebook. As I was just thinking about how the world has changed in these past few weeks, I just thought I don't like change. I really struggle with change. And so when I'm struggling with that, and I go to the Bible, because that's my wee guidebook, and I go to it, God's Word, and there's a verse in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 8, and it says, Jesus Christ the same yesterday, today, and forever. And I love that verse because when change happens, and I'm unsure about it, and I'm scared, and I'm worried, I know that Jesus never changes. He's always there for me. He says in His word too that He will never leave me or forsake me. And I just want to say to everyone that's listening in, maybe you're worried, maybe you're scared, you don't know what's ahead of you. But I want to point you to the one that knows everything, that is my rock and He's my salvation. And I just want to point you to Jesus today. And I want you to trust in Him with this unknown future to a known God. And I promise you it will bring you peace. So till we all meet again, just love you all, and it's great even to do this with you. Bye bye. Bye Henry. Bye.
So this is the weir of the River Main in Randallstown. So I've come a bit further upstream and it's very peaceful here, it's very quiet. It's only me and some cows across the river there, some birds, and it's just beautiful and it's lovely during this lockdown period to have a bit more time to come for walks. Because sometimes in my life, which can be quite busy, I don't have much time, or I don't make time to come out and enjoy God's creation, and days and weeks and months could go by and I don't come down to this river. But a bit like God, the river is always here, it's always flowing. Like a never-ending stream, like it says in the Bible. Even if we don't make time for God, we don't carve out time to be with Him, it doesn't mean that He's not there. He's always there, just like this river is always here. And do you know something? It's worth coming down here. It's always worth it, and it's always worth spending time with God, in the presence of God. where we find justice, where we find righteousness, and the other great image of the river in the Bible, where we find peace like a river. And in this river I've seen so much wildlife. We often see herons, I've seen kingfishers. Niall and I took the kayak up here a few months ago. We saw an otter. There's so much wildlife, because plants and animals thrive close to water, and that's like God as well, isn't it? When we're close to God, when we're in His presence, human life will also thrive and flourish. So I'll just leave that thought with you, that challenge with me as well. Let's make more time for God. Let's remember His justice, His righteousness, and His peace. God bless you.
Hi everyone, it's Jess here. Sorry we can't be with you this year at Walk for Life, but we're really praying for you and thinking about you. I hope that whenever you're outside and you're walking and you see God's creation and His artwork, that it really speaks to you. And I just want to share one Bible verse, and it's found in Psalm 46 and verse 10, and it says, "Be still and know that I am God." The reason I love this verse is that whenever we're out walking, it can be really calm and really still, and I just really believe that God says to us to remember who He is and that He's with us, even in the stillness and in the chaos. He is there and He's very present. So if you've got any prayer requests or you need prayer for anything, please send it into Antrim Baptist Church, and we would love to do that for you. Bye.
Hi everyone, I'm Heather. Some of you may remember me from a talk I gave back in February about my mountains. Do any other mummies feel like hiding these days? I just climbed up this tree to get some peace, because it's almost been 2 minutes and 30 seconds since I had to deal with a child-related issue. Anyway, one of my mountains during this lockdown has been balancing homeschooling with work. I find that I have a much easier time gathering evidence, dealing with customers, solving crime, than actually convincing an 11-year-old that his English comprehension is a really important, vital part of his education. Being in lockdown is a little bit like being in a comfortable prison, which reminded me of one of my favourite Bible stories about Joseph. Most of you know the story in Genesis where Joseph gets put into prison for something he didn't do. But we find out at the end of the story that this was God's plan all along. Joseph ended up getting out of prison and becoming one of the most powerful men in Egypt and a leader of all nations. In lockdown, you may feel lonely or that your life's being wasted without social interaction and seeing your wider family circle, but God has big plans for us, and someday you will look back and you'll see that we were being prepared for something greater in God's plan. Always remember, God's in control. If you ask anyone who knows me, they'll confirm I'm a total control freak, and there's a verse I regularly have to remind myself of in Matthew 6 and verse 27. It goes, "Which of you, by being anxious, can add a single hour to his span of life?" Let's let God handle it. Accept that He has control and has big plans for us. I think I'm about to be rumbled. Hope to see you all soon. Keep safe, keep happy, and take care. I have to get out of this tree.